When I was growing up, my parents did not have money. And when they did have money, they often mismanaged it. And it was an unfortunate thing. When I was growing up, money was not really talked about much. When I was growing up, when it was talked about, it was usually from a place of scarcity and desperation. It was not from a place of growing it or investing it. Saving up money and trying to get to a place of financial functionality and having to live in survival mode for a little while, and saving is the only thing you can imagine doing, that's meant to be temporary. That's not a whole lifetime. And my parents sadly did not know this. And so I wish so much for parents going forward into the rest of the world, in future generations, for parents to be able to say, you know what, here's money, here's how money works, here's how we save money, and here's how we invest money. And if parents can do that and do it calmly, without a bunch of insecurity, it can help foster not just the knowledge for their kids, but also the ability to feel secure for their kids when it comes to finances. I have met a ridiculous amount of people, and it is incredible to me the volume of people who are terrified about finances, who are anxious about finances, who are insecure about finances. It's uncomfortable. It's not something they want to talk about. They cringe. It's something they wish could be so taboo that they never have to talk about it. It comes from like their childhoods. It comes from the way that they learned about money, things that they've encountered with money, their experiences. And so I really want to encourage anyone who's out there who's learning about money, even if you don't have kids yet. Maybe you want to have kids in the future, but you don't even have them yet. Be prepared to sit down with your kids and have talks about money once a year. Invite them to hear about the budget or the bills. Talk to them about things you're excited you're investing in and why you're investing in it, the research that you did, the numbers that you crunched. It's super important to create and foster that sense of comfortableness with money, because money, the way we get into problems with it is from desperation, is from insecurity. And the ways that we grow money and we create investment and prosperity with money is by believing that there's a reason to hope, by imagining a future that's better than right now. So it's really important to build that kind of a habit and that kind of an understanding with your kids. And the way you start is by doing that with yourself. The more you're learning about money, the more you're investing your knowledge and your information about money, the more that you're investing in yourself when it comes to money, the more that you're learning about it, the more that you're understanding it, the more that you are growing your ability to do more than just get out of debt, to do more than just save, but to start investing your money, even if it's in a really simple way. You're still helping yourself and you're helping the next generation. There's been a gap, and the gap's been somewhat intentional, between investing and the poor. And the investing knowledge and understanding hasn't been there for the poor. And if you have been poor and you're just now encountering it, that sucks. It does. It sucks. You have a lot to catch up. And that's hard. That's really hard. But you can start. And if you start, at least you'll get somewhere. The jargon that is used in financial stuff, I try really hard not to use. The slangs and the acronyms, and it all gets overwhelming. It's like learning another language, and it's like that language comes with a bunch of math. So it can be double daunting for people, and it's okay if it's daunting. Learn really basic, simple stuff, and then use that Utilize that and get to where you're comfortable talking about it. Because even if it was something that you've been afraid of or you've been insecure about your entire life, money, it's so important to be secure and to feel comfortable talking about money. And especially with your kids. Think about how delayed you might have been because you needed so long to get comfortable with the concept of investing or the concept of saving or talking about money. Think about how much or how little your parents talked with you about money. Think about the detriments that come with not understanding money. Think about the positives that can come with understanding money. Give your kids a better chance than you had. Some people treat talking about finances with their children and like family bills as they would about like giving their kids the birds and the bees talk, you know, and I've done both plenty of times. Multiple times, more than once, with children. And it's very important to take emotions out of it and to be logical and level-headed and calm when you're talking about it with kids. If you're emotionally charged, the child will get emotionally charged. If you are calm and treating it like you're talking about, oh, what'd you do at school today? You know, and it's just a calm, gentle conversation, then the kid can learn and understand better and get the gentle information better. They absorb it better. And they're a kid. Their brain is still developing. So you're going to have the conversation more than once. It's not like you can be like, okay, I just have to do the talk one time. And then, first of all, talking about it only once just encourages the concept that this is taboo. It just adds to the effect of this is scary. Talking about it more than once makes it so that it's less unfamiliar, it's less overwhelming, not just for your kid, but also for you. It also helps you nail down the facts. It helps you nail down what you want to get across to your kid. Each time you talk about it, you get better at talking about it. You get better at nailing down the main speaking points and getting across the information that you really wish your parents would have told you. And each time you talk about it, you're having a bonding experience with your kid, and that makes it more substantial. You might say, oh, well, maybe they'll learn about it at school or a teacher will tell them. But there is something more impactful and more able to imprint a memory by having those moments with your parent. Take them out for ice cream and say, hey, after ice cream, when we get home, you want to go talk about, you know, something I'm excited about. Turns out it's what I'm investing in. You know, you don't have to talk about it all the time, but talk about it more than once. Maybe, again, once a year or every couple of months. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be constant, but let your kids in on what you're doing. And then if you start while they're a child, then once they become a teenager, they're more likely to be open to that kind of conversation. They're more likely to be less closed off to that conversation. It doesn't mean 100% they're not going to be closed off because their bodies are full of hormones, but the odds go up. If you've already established a trusting way of having a conversation about money when they're a kid, then there'll be more odds that there'll be a trusting conversation to be had about money when they're a teenager. If that can continue, by the time they're a young adult, they can already start their first investments. They can already start having money that's growing, start having something happening while they're still building themselves up to start their life. How many investors do you hear or read about who say, oh, if you start at 20, you could have this much money by this age? And how many of us are like, I wish I would have known that when I was 20. This is how you help them know that when they're 20. you start when they're a little kid. If you tell them one time when they're 20, they might not even be able to process the information. Start when they're little. Create that sense of security, that sense of trust, that sense of, it's okay, it's not really that overwhelming. We can understand this. I really wish someone could have done that for me. And I know so many people who feel the same way I do, whose parents didn't do that with them, and they wish their parents did.